Hello everyone, my name is Richard Devereux. I'm the Student Ambassador Scheme Coordinator here at Marjon. With me today is Roger Pitt, and he's the Head of Student Recruitment and Outreach. And we are here to deliver the Marjon Student Ambassador Scheme application briefing session. Firstly, just about me, I'm obviously the Student Ambassador Scheme Coordinator. So you'll be seeing my name quite a lot if you do become an ambassador. And any questions or any concerns or any issues raised throughout your journey as an ambassador, you can always contact me and I'll be there to assist. Yeah, apologies in advance if you hear any outside noise. I've got single gaze windows here, so you may hear the occasional car or something like that. So yeah, apologies in advance for that. Okay, so about this session. So during this session, you will find out, one, how the Marjon Student Ambassador Scheme works, the types of assignments available to student ambassadors, the student ambassador recruitment process, and golden rules for writing a knockout application. Okay, so the Marjon Student Ambassador Scheme. So student ambassadors support a range of online and face-to-face projects, and these include aspects such as open days, applicant days, interview days, campus tours, Discover days, masterclasses, summer school events and Easter revision schools, small group mentoring in local schools, and UCAS fairs and corporate events such as graduation and conferences. This list isn't exhaustive, it will continue to grow, and there are other aspects as well that we do deliver on campus too. Okay, this is an image of ambassadors at work. This is an open day event, I believe, and ambassadors are welcoming prospective students and their families onto campus and helping to register them for the day. Here is a collection of photos, again, of ambassadors at work. We have UCAS fairs, summer school there as well. And the bottom right, we have a campus tour. And the campus tour is a fairly frequent job within the ambassador scheme. And again, that's just welcoming students, prospective students and their families onto campus, helping deliver tours around campus and asking any questions that they may have. Okay, so why become a student ambassador? You earn a regular income of £10.28 per hour. It's valuable work experience, and I think this is really key. So you'll learn new transferable skills, develop existing experience, such as teamwork, customer service, working with children and young people. And there's just an array of events you'll get involved with, and you'll learn skills along your ambassador journey, and we'll help you recognise those skills as well. So there's opportunities to grow, to develop and be nurtured, and to build confidence, which again is a big key for the scheme. We recognise that certain events might be a little bit challenging, perhaps sometimes a little bit daunting, but we're here on hand to help guide and support and train you throughout your journey to make you feel more comfortable within those positions. Yeah, so it's advantageous in the competitive job market. All these skills you learn along your student ambassador journey can enhance your CV. And again, we can help you recognise those skills and link you in with futures as well to help to develop your CV. And it prepares you for work in life. You know, it helps with organisational skills, timekeeping, you know, meeting new people, how to engage with people from different sectors, and it really does prepare you from that avenue. We can be your reference. So when you start applying for work and applying for jobs, I can be your reference as well. So I think that's a real key. Especially if you haven't worked before too. You can meet new people and make new friends. Again, I think this is a brilliant aspect of the scheme, and we see this happen very frequently too. Okay, another photo of ambassadors at work working our graduation event and helping hand out the fizz to visitors. And again, this is graduation at the Guildhall. All our ambassadors there working together as a team to help deliver that event. And again, a close-up of a couple of our ambassadors, and I think this really displays the SA uniform, and you'll each be issued the SA uniform as part of the ambassador role too. Okay, so when would I work? So it's flexible working hours. You opt into activities that fit around your lectures and other commitments. So we always say, please put you know, your academic studies first, and then beyond that, if you have any time and you feel that you can work, then please please do put yourself forward for the events that you can work. You may get involved in a one-off event or an ongoing project. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Some events are just one-offs, but some are ongoing, like we have certain ongoing projects possibly within the marketing team, which you can get involved with. Okay, thank you for listening to my part of the presentation. I'll now hand you over to Roger.
Thanks so much for that, Rich, and welcome everyone to this briefing session. Hope that it will be useful to you. Rich has just kind of outlined how the scheme works and the types of work available to you. It's really broad and lots of different types of experience that you can gather as a student ambassador, make friends and be part of another community as well whilst you're at Marjon. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how to actually apply to become an SA. Some of it will be familiar to you already. If you've already applied for jobs before, then it will be familiar. Those of you that haven't applied for a job before, or just like a little bit of a recap in terms of best practice in terms of job applications, hopefully these will be some good pointers for you. Before we get into that though, I just want to give you the key dates. So the application deadline is Sunday the 19th of September, and you need to get your application in by midnight. We're unable to accept any applications after that, unfortunately, because we do receive many applications. Then we'll be running some interviews, and those will be happening during the week commencing 11th of October and the week commencing the 18th of October. Please don't worry if you have clashes. If you're called to interview and you have clashes in terms of your academic studies, Rich is really happy to be flexible. So if you just contact him and let him know, he'll look for another slot for you. If you get through the interviews, which we obviously hope that you will, then we'll be running a new student ambassador training event, and that will be on Saturday the 13th of November. It's really important that you go to that because it's mandatory training, and we're not able to issue any work to you until you've been through that. So that's really important. So those are the key dates. Please put them in your diary, put them on your phone, really important. So in terms of the recruitment process, it's a three-stage process. First of all, we ask you to submit the application via the online system, as I said, by the deadline. And then there's a shortlisting stage. Rich works with colleagues within marketing communications, which is where we're based, and those teams shortlist candidates. It's a scoring system, so it's completely fair, completely objective. And then the students with the highest scores are then called to the interview stage, which is stage 3, and that includes an online panel, a panel interview, and an activity. We're not 100% sure yet which bits will be online and which bits will be in person, but we will let you know as soon as that's been confirmed. So in terms of submitting an application, there are some golden rules, and like I said, they may be familiar to you already. If they are, then this would be a good recap, or it may be your first application, and we don't want you to kind of worry at all or feel anxious about submitting an application. We want you to be guided through the process. So here are some golden rules. The first one is to read all of the documents really thoroughly before you start. And I know this is kind of what people are told at school and at college when they're doing exams, like read the whole paper, read all the questions first before you make a start. And that's true of applying for a job as well. There are some key documents to point out. So the advert is the first of those, and that kind of gives you a flavour of the role. Then the job description gives you much more detail. It'll tell you about the post, who you're reporting into, what your responsibilities are, and any special features. So becoming a student ambassador is a responsible job, and it requires training. You may need DBS clearance for different roles. If you're working, for example, in a school or a college, or helping with a summer school or Easter revision school. And it also tells you about out of hours working. So we run, for example, campus tours on a Saturday. We have events that start very early in the morning and very late at night. So the special features section is really important. And then the third part, in terms of the third document, is what's called the person specification. And that describes the qualifications, skills, experience, knowledge, and any other attributes that are part of the selection criteria. And it's important that you can demonstrate those in order to be shortlisted. And I'll say a little bit more about those in a second. So this is what the job description looks like. In the top half, you've got the position details. And then the second section is about the post itself. It's kind of a summary, really. So the first bullet point there just gives you an overview, support the delivery of a wide range of online and face-to-face events, activities and projects on behalf of different university departments. And that's kind of what the scheme is in a nutshell. So read through that section. It's really, really important. And then the next section is around the responsibilities that you have. So that's much more detailed. So for example, we talk about some of the activities we deliver. I know Rich has covered those already. And it just gives you a bit more detail, a bit more information about what to expect in terms of your responsibilities as a student ambassador. And then I touched on it a second ago. The final box really is around any special features, and I think I mentioned out of hours working. I mentioned DBS checks and anything else that may be relevant. So have a really good look through that. It's really important. The other thing that's important here is the person specification. And as I said, in order to be shortlisted, you must demonstrate that you meet all of the essential criteria and as many of the desirable criteria as possible. So that's very important when we get to the shortlisting stage. This is what it looks like. So you've got the criteria there on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, it tells you whether they're essential or desirable. So right at the top, you must be a Marjon student. That's really important. That's essential. It's desirable to have experience of working with a variety of people from different cultures, experiences, backgrounds, and ages. That's desirable, so not essential. And then we've got some different skills and abilities. So strong interpersonal communication skills, essential to be a student ambassador. Excellent professional customer service skills, again, essential. And there's some other criteria there, some other attributes there that we look for. One of the attributes that I just wanted to point out to you is strong attention to detail and accuracy. And the reason that I point that out is because that's very much about your application. So we really encourage you to take some time and put some care into your application and make sure that it's as detailed and as accurate as possible and that there aren't typos and all that kind of stuff. I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. There are also some criteria that are around personal attributes. Really important that you're friendly, approachable, and enthusiastic. That's absolutely vital. And those of you that have had any contact with Marjon or been to the university at all will know that our student ambassadors are really welcoming and really friendly. We also look for people who can build rapport quickly with people from different backgrounds and also have empathy, can empathise with the needs of others. And that's particularly true when you start working in schools and colleges and working with young people from different backgrounds. So as I said, in order to be shortlisted, you must demonstrate that you meet all of the essential criteria and as many of the desirable criteria as possible. So really spend some time looking at that person specification. The next golden rule is about giving evidence in your statement. So you'll be asked to write a statement and we ask you to give evidence and be as specific as possible. What we advise is that you use the statements or the criteria within the person specification as headings for each new paragraph in your statement. So when you start a new paragraph, lift out the criteria within the person specification and use that as your heading. And that's really good practice. So just to give you an example of that, let's take excellent and professional customer service skills, take that as your heading, and we've added that in here, excellent professional customer service skills. And then what we do is ask you to give evidence. So it's very much an evidence-based approach there. And we look for a couple of pieces of evidence. So we'd say give 2 pieces of evidence. So the first one here, someone's added in that they worked at China Fleet Leisure Centre in Saltash, and they talked very specifically about what they did. So I was responsible for ensuring customer safety in the pool area each day. I was the first point of contact for customers and took pride in dealing with queries in a friendly manner. So give plenty of detail, it's really important. The second piece of evidence, the person talks about customer service training that they completed when they were working at Tesco. Again, be really specific and give evidence there, and it will really help in terms of strengthening your application. We've got one here again around strong interpersonal and communication skills, and I would say use that as your heading. Use each of those attributes or criteria as the headings for your application, for your statement in your application. So use the statements within the person spec as headings for each new paragraph. Give evidence. Make sure the evidence you give is relevant and specific, and be honest. Don't exaggerate your experience, because when you're called to interview and we ask you a bit more about the things that you've done, sometimes we find that actually it's a little bit exaggerated. So we say don't do that. Just be as honest as you possibly can. So the third golden rule: be enthusiastic. Really important about being a student ambassador. One of the things that's most important about being a student ambassador is your enthusiasm. So why are you applying? How does this opportunity link in with your previous experience, your studies and future plans? Have you been a student ambassador at school? Have you volunteered for a local football or hockey club? Have you worked for Scouts or Girl Guides? And we really, ask you to be proud of who you are and your achievements. So be as enthusiastic as you can. And I think it's probably good practice for this to be your first paragraph. So when you start your statement, why are you applying? How does it link in with your previous experience? What are your achievements so far? What do you want to get out of the scheme as well is also good to add in. In terms of the fourth golden rule, we say don't recycle. What do we mean by that? Some candidates just copy and paste job applications from other roles that they've applied for. Please don't do that. Make sure that it's really specific to the student ambassador role. Very important. It makes it quite time consuming, but the time you put in will be worth it. And I think that's true for all job applications, actually. So bear that one in mind as well. Golden rule number 5, the final rule, check your application thoroughly. Again, this is something we look for, and I mentioned accuracy earlier on. We need to make sure that your application is as accurate as possible, and that includes completing every field. Don't leave any gaps at all. Read it really thoroughly. Proofread. You can use Microsoft Word. You can kind of copy and paste into Microsoft Word. It will show you if there are any errors at all, any kind of syntactical errors or any graphic errors, and then you can paste it into your application. The other thing to do is ask a friend or a family member to look over it for you, because sometimes the errors don't jump out when you're looking on the screen. Don't rush your application. Give yourself plenty of time. That's really important. And remember that first impressions count. This is our first impression that we have of you. So just to recap really quickly in terms of the golden rules, not just for becoming a student ambassador, for any job application, read all of the relevant documents thoroughly before you start. Make sure that you've got a really good handle on those. Give evidence in your personal statement and be as specific as you can. Be enthusiastic, absolutely vital as an essay, but don't exaggerate, otherwise that may come out in the interview process. And tailor your applications to the job description, the person specification. Make sure that you don't recycle an old, copy and paste an old job app. And last but not least, make sure that you proofread your application really, really carefully before you submit. And that's, like I said, the very first impression that we have of you. The other thing to mention is that for those of you who are going to be new entrants to the university, you're starting your first year, we've got a wonderful team called the Futures Team. They are incredibly happy to help you with your application, to look over your application for you. Rich and I and our team, unfortunately, we're not able to look at your application before you submit it because we want to keep things as fair as possible. But you can email futures@Marjon, and they're very happy to look at your application, work with you on your application. And your contacts there will be Terry, Pip, and Faye. You can also connect with them via Twitter and via Facebook as well. So that service is there to help you to make sure that you produce a really strong application. So please bear in mind that there is support and help out there for you, especially if you're doing it for the first time. If you do have any questions, and they're not specifically about your application, any questions about the scheme at all, please feel free to email Rich. Rich is very happy to pick up any questions that you may have or any queries about the scheme as a whole. So for example, if you weren't sure how it works in terms of hours being allocated or giving time or combining essay work with your studies, Rich is very happy to talk that through with you. Rich, have you got anything to add before we go?
I don't think so. Thank you for your input there, Roger. Yeah, and thank you for everyone who's going to watch this video. But yeah, any questions at all, then please do email me at that email address. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and yeah, I'll help you with any queries that you may have. But thank you.
That sounds good. Thanks so much for that, Rich. So just the final thing to do is to wish you the very best of luck. Have a good rest of the summer, and we'll really look forward to receiving your application soon. Thanks so much. Bye.